Well, I think Bernie is pretty clear that we're doing too much looking back. There is a two-tiered justice system in this country. It's on display with how President Trump's being treated versus how Biden's being treated. It's on display with how the January 6th protesters were treated versus the people who caused that destruction in those cities. Bernie's point is we need to look forward. We need to move past that. And I think he laid out pretty clearly, these career politicians like endless investigations and litigating things that are years old. Bernie's an outsider, he's a businessman, and he's looking for it. So he's the best candidate.
What did you think of his performance today?
I did very well. I think it's pretty clear the lines in this race. You have Bernie, successful businessman, outsider, America First conservative, and he was flanked by two career politicians who spent the whole night attacking him. I think he's got the arrows in his back to prove he's the front runner. And the exact same thing that makes Bernie stand out versus those two career politicians is the thing that's going to make him win in November, which is, as he said in his closing argument, career politicians have gotten us into this mess. It's going to take an outsider to get us out.
In the debate, when discussing Israel, Mr. Moreno mentioned something along the lines of firing Palestine sympathizing professors from universities. Could you maybe contextualize that statement a little more?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear what's going on college campuses across the country. There's just an absolutely virulent rise of anti-Semitism. It's a very personal issue for him. As he mentioned, his granddaughter's Jewish dress as he
Position on student faculty.
Certainly not to bail it out with government funding.
Connor, what did you think of the argument that Matt Dillon made in his final statement that basically the other two are too conservative to win in November?
I'd be hard pressed to find that to be true. I think Donald Trump's election results would prove that wrong. I think J.D. Vance's electoral victory just 2 years ago would also prove that wrong. I think Donald Trump and Bernie Moreno look forward to running as a strong conservative.
The Senate race as to why Bernie pulled out. I know there were talks between him and President Trump, but anything further to that?
Yeah, no, he spoke with President Trump and realized that had he stayed in that race, that we would divide out the America First vote in the primary, and it could let a less conservative, not America First candidate through, and that was unacceptable. So, Bernie decided to drop out, and he thought at the time that J.D. Vance was the right guy. He endorsed J.D. Vance, and then of course President Trump did so a few months later.
President Trump trying to get Frank Rose to drop out?
That I don't know. I think that would be, the smart move on Frank's part, but that's a question for him.
Any other questions? One more?
Sure. Of course, Bernie, as you said, you claimed an outsider, a businessman. With the adversaries overseas, particularly with China, what can Bernie do to stop the outsourcing and the offshoring to bring jobs, materials, all right here in America?
Well, that is one of the most important questions of this election cycle, and it's one that we've litigated through the primary and will continue through the general. China is our single greatest existential threat. They're stealing our intellectual property. They're buying our farmland at record rates. We need to stop them from buying American land. It's putting our economy in jeopardy. It's putting our national security in jeopardy. And we need to get tough on China. I mean, to your point, manufacturing jobs have been sent overseas, and Bernie's going to fight for the American worker. It's the center point of his campaign, pursuing policies that put American workers and American families first, and that starts with onshoring some of that manufacturing and critical infrastructure back here rather than outsourcing to China.
Can you speak on his position on Senate Bill 83?
Remind me what Senate Bill 83 is.
It discusses college campuses and what can and can't be talked about in college classrooms.
I don't know the specifics of the bill, but I'll tell you this. Our colleges need to be havens of free speech. No, what are they called? Safe zones, right? Right now, on college campuses, there is one dominant viewpoint that is being pushed consistently, and it's obviously biased against the views that Bernie Moreno and quite a few college kids hold, which is a conservative viewpoint. He's going to make sure that colleges are a haven of free speech rather than a factory of propaganda.
How would Moreno be able to ensure that the college campuses are a center for free speech?
Well, there's all sorts of things we can do, starting with opening federal funding. He mentioned it on stage. I think an important start is looking at these colleges that are promulgating anti-Semitism, and like he asked Matt Dolan to do tonight, and I didn't hear Matt Dolan commit to it, but revoke federal funding for anyone who's allowing this virulent anti-Semitism to continue to be pushed on college campuses.
All right.
Anyone else? Thank you guys so much.